These will be my thoughts on Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord, Season 1, Episode 2, Chapter 2, Sinister Schemes. I believe the episode is rated ages 12 and up. Certainly this video will be. And another episode that I loved. There will be spoilers for certainly these first two episodes. I guess hypothetically everything Star Wars leading up to it. So before we get into it, I did want to make this one's going to be several YouTube video recommendations. So yeah, movies with Mark on the Manosphere, Louis Theroux and Masculinity. Matt Rose on Matt Autocorrect seems to have got worse lately. Dog Week by the Quarators. Honestly, Nando Cut and Utterly Noah talking about the Mario Galaxy movie, great. Door Monster and the Hero's Journey is a cult, and Ceremony on the Camp of Catholicism. And with that, let's get into this particular episode. So yeah, they continue to do a really great job on the pacing. The show never really stands still. Lots of really great action. And yeah, I think we're pretty much just gonna go scene by scene, more or less chronological. The ending of the first episode, of course, enables this as well to open in media res. And yeah, very cool, prison break kind of scene. And yeah, how they have to really struggle to keep her with them. And let's see, I think, yeah, clever to shoot the lock after they get out to make sure they cannot be easily followed. And yeah, really, really loved when, so I'm afraid I didn't catch his name, but yeah, turns out he is a Jedi. And yeah, he uses the Force to TK the vehicle. Yeah, very, very cool. And I don't think this is the last time that he and Maul come face to face. I just think Maul, personally, I think there's going to be another confrontation this time. It will be a fight. But right now, Maul is not looking to, there's so many cops right there. So he's not usually one to back out of fighting. But yeah, nice bit of setup. Looking forward to the payoff. And of course, Maul being Maul, in order to make his escape, he, causes a situation where people might die, messing with that bridge, I think it was, so that cops and the Jedi have to, save those people. Loved the bit where it looked like someone was actually going to fall, because, can you imagine, these, these wonderfully ridiculous vertical Star Wars cities, I mean, you basically, how steep of drop do you think that is? Hundreds of meters, maybe. Right. I forget what that translates to in, I don't even remember what it's called, outside of the metric system. Yeah. Let's see. Randy Feltface taught me that 1 kilo is the equivalent to a particularly specific hedgehog, I think, but I don't think he mentioned one for meters. So, yeah. But thankfully, we see, yeah, the top vehicle was right underneath, and they were very careful to not show us that until the person was already falling, so that we'd think they would, yeah. And yeah, I don't know. So far, I hope they managed to keep that up. And so far, I don't think this really ever happened with Star Wars. So far, it doesn't feel like grimdark, try hard, 3AG5 me. That's the kind of thing with this kind of story. You could easily get there, and I think that would be exhausting. It's, yeah. In my personal opinion, there's enough fancy schmancy tech and magic and stuff like that, alien species, other worlds and such, enough color, and it's like striking, even if not necessarily bright, for it to not end up in that territory. You know, it does not feel directed by Zack Snyder. I think Jedi. And let's see. I think that does bring us. Yeah, and you know, she also tries to make her escape, but Mandalorian catches her. And yeah, I really appreciate the point about, you know, Mandalorians are great at, you know, field medic. You know, it's like, yeah, makes sense. And you know, yeah, she's like, you know, I'm a prisoner here, and he's like, well, I mean, if that's what you think, and I just know she's kicking herself for not saying, well, evidently I'm the designated, you know, ice cream taste tester. It's a living. Seriously though, love Maul still on his Banthadung of just like, yeah, he likes corrupting Jedi. You don't have a hobby? Like, you're gonna hate on this guy just for having like special interests. Cause like he does like to do this. That yeah, I know I've said it before, but that was something I really, really loved on Rebels. Seeing him yeah. Now, I think that does pretty much get. I really appreciate the way that Maul keeps treating ah Vario. Was that his name? So many names to keep track of. But yeah, you know, the guy he broke out. You know, he's treating him really, really badly, but getting information from him. And let's see, I think, yeah, and you know, Maul lays out how, you know, he can, you know, he can arrange this deal with, what do they say, Krim, so that they can get the yeah. And we also have the part where Lawson goes home, and I thought they did a really great job with the son, you know, and son with an O, not the kind that there's two of on Tatooine, but the yeah, the way that, you know, as soon as Dad comes home, he's like, "Wow, you were working late. Are you okay? Is Two Boots okay?" And you know, he's like, "Well, Two Boots is Two Boots," and you know, just off screen, there's an lie detecting droid, and he's like, "I don't know what to tell you. There's no spike." And then, you know, the son brings up, you know, part of the reason why he immediately hurried out to talk to his father. Mom wants me to come by, you know, and Wilson's like, I think it's best if I can I come too? And you know, that is of course upsetting to the son, and he's like, listen, I'll take some time off soon. And yeah, like genuinely really, really great job making me care about this kid that I know for like, I don't know, 1 minute, maybe two of screen time, you know. And you know, when he goes to talk to you know, this other person, you know, first thing she asks is, you know, how's the kid? And let's see, yeah, they don't have any information on the Shadow Collective, so they're not really, they don't know exactly how to, you know, considering they've been introduced and already know that, you know, they know about the laser sword. I'm thinking they're gonna end up finding some way to track Maul. I mean, certainly he is not being subtle right now. You know, he's leaving a bit of a trail. Like, if you can pick up on that, I wouldn't rule out they'd be able to find him. And, you know, it's that thing about, you know, revenge. You know, dig two graves, one for yourself and one for, you know, in case the other one gets filled and you don't want to be staying there without a grave. Come on. And let's see, I think doesn't that pretty much get us to the part where, so yeah, she does manage to use her powers to break out. She thinks outside the box and then ends up outside the box. And yeah, her and Maul, just some really, really great stuff. I really love the part where, she's like, they told, I was told Jedi stories, I know what you are. I mean, fan service, don't knock it. It's working pretty well for Disney. Seriously though, as far as fan service goes, I can live with more Maul in my life. That is one particular that I'm okay with. And I think that does pretty much. Yeah, the very, very tense when he was threatening the mobster with the heavy load that he could easily drop on, and the guy wouldn't be able to get away in time. And let's see, I think that does more or less. Yeah, I thought they did a really great job. So, I mean, I don't think that arc is exactly over, but I don't know if he's going to be able to turn her. But what we've seen so far, I mean, you could read it kind of either way. Like, is he turning her, or was she just, I mean, she's like trying to escape kind of thing, it doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to, but it might also, lure her off the beaten path. And I think that does pretty much get us to the actual attack there at the end. So yeah, really cool that, it starts with, what's it called? The equipment not responding for the Pikes, who get kind of a bad rap. Like, I don't know, I feel a little bit bad. I mean, yeah, they're obviously, they've done some pretty messed up things. They also helped convince Boba Fett to stop working in crime syndicate and start working a cream syndicate. But seriously though, if you're not already watching, so I guess Oral Knots are not themselves posting anymore. They split into the two, but they're backlogged, and I know, oh, you're not supposed to recommend old videos. Let's see, I think that pretty much, yeah, I liked how much the Maul attack reminded me of the Vader scene at the end of Rogue One. I am on the record as not being the biggest fan of that scene. I think it worked here. Yeah, I've already, in my video on Rogue One, I laid out why I didn't like it there. So I'll just briefly talk about why, what I like here. The brutality feels like you can really tell how furious he is. You even have a little bit of verbal sparring between him and that one person, one Pike there at the end. And the as mentioned, like, he's not exactly keeping a low profile. I mean, I don't know if Lawson is immediately going to hear about this, much less connected to Maul, but how many people do you see with laser swords these days? This is when stormtroopers go house to house to look for droids. Like, it's not exactly going to be, yeah, a lightsaber would attract a lot of unwanted attention. I also like the bit with, two boots saying they should call in the Empire. I don't know. I feel like they're doing a thing there with, like, droid programming versus human, like, intuition, or humanoid. I guess they're not. All right, is anyone in Star Wars 100% human? I can never quite remember. I've heard, like, a theory that Star Wars is technically set, like, either in our distant past or future, and I don't know. I just feel like that takes a lot of the magic out of it. I prefer the idea that it's, so far away we'll never get there, but it's cool to imagine that it's happening out there. Yeah, I think that pretty much. Yeah, and also the way that Maul has this, massive advantage. They can't even remotely harm him. Which is, of course, part of why he thinks he's going to be able to keep doing this, which I don't know. I mean, it's not. I don't know spoilers or anything. I'm just theorizing. But so far, Maul tends to end up going too far and getting himself defeated, which, such as like these. I mean, so let's see. Technically, he was pre-Empire, but yeah, Sith in Star Wars main kind of. I guess also elsewhere. A lot of the time it is the hubris that ends up, you know, they defeat themselves with that. That is one of their defining weaknesses. But yeah, I think that pretty much gets us to, yeah, the really looking forward to more. And I think that pretty much covers. Right. I did want to note, very, very cool. Love the just brutality of, Maul slicing that last pike in half, which I guess means that in less than a decade, that pike is going to come back with droid legs, and then less than 2 decades after that, it's going to get its own miniseries on Disney Plus.